Okay, well, thank you very much, Chair, and thank you very much for Vancouver for the invite. So what I'm going to do is really give you some ideas and oversights over circular economy innovation and some sort of trends and issues. What we saw in the back end of 2015 is the recalibration of the Sustainable Development Agenda with the launching of the Sustainable Development Goals with these 17 goals. However, what we didn't see in here was a reference particularly to resource efficiency, productivity, or circular economy. However, obviously, clearly they link with a number of these goals. And what we really saw around about 2008 with the global crash is a reinvigoration of the conversation around resource efficiency, resource productivity. Not a new issue. The Japanese, the Germans, the Scandinavians, and others had really been pushing this agenda for a long time. But this was there was an acceleration of the discussion because of issues around access to critical materials, increased commodity prices. But really that started to lead to this growing conversation around this highly efficient system we have that produces waste. And that's not what we want. So indeed what we saw perhaps around 2010 is an emergence of on a more regular basis of circular economy as a term. So this idea of moving from the linear to the circular. But even in China back in 2008, we had the circular economy promotion law that is now being again recalibrated. And after President Xi's comments recently, there may be further acceleration of the discussions and perhaps even some increased leadership in China around the issues, and we've seen a banning of waste imports as well, for example. So China getting involved. The European Commission is just about to announce the new circular economy package. And within that, what we've seen already is some retrofitting of the legislation to bring in more conversation around design. Interesting, that came up. 80% of a product's environmental impact is determined at the design stage. So what we're seeing is a standards activity happening around repair, remanufacturing, etc. So things are moving forward. The Netherlands announced a 2050 program. The Finns also announcing a new program, and indeed the Swedes now announcing a tax program to try and stimulate repair. But it's important to remember things go in waves. Maybe 2000s, this is a very broad brush comment, was about climate change, but maybe this decade is around resource efficiency, productivity, and circular economy, but the next decade may be about water. So it's really important we keep things in perspective. Circular economy is part of a broader sustainable development discussion. We can't just get involved into the silos on this. So thinking about circular economy, we've got the classic butterfly diagram from EMF and the idea of designing for biological systems and technical systems to keep that highest value in the system for the longest possible. But things, as inevitably in life, are not as simple as that. Most products, or many products, have mixed materials. This is a pair of socks. It includes filaments from waste plastics, it includes cotton, and it includes elastomer. So on the one hand, it's moving in the right direction, but we get to the end of life, we've got a problem with three materials, and the product's not designed for disassembly. So, baby steps forwards, as the previous conversations were discussing. As was mentioned, UK has just launched the British Standard on implementing circular economy principles in organisations. What was unusual about this standard is that we piloted this standard as certain clauses with organisations, leading organisations. And what we found was this: even amongst leading organisations in the UK, none had really clear strategic plans and visions over circularity. We'd even seen some organisations announce commitments to circular economy at a high level, and without circular economy being discussed with staff, this has created chaos because we had different perspectives in the organisation. So there's an issue about getting the vision and the buy-in. And in the standard, we also very much looked at the different terms, and in reviewing this for this conference, I noted that we didn't have a definition for maintenance in there. Very important in terms of preventative side. We also found that topics like upcycling, there's no definition in standards or the laws about that, yet upcycling is happening. What we also found was the interchangeability of a number of the terms. So what I would term a white goods company that I was involved in some discussions with, they were clearly a refurbisher. But in the discussions with them in certain workshops, they define themselves as being materials recyclers. So we haven't got a common language. And if you don't got a common language, you can't communicate. So this is very important. Again, in kicking off circular economy principles and thinking on organizations, we need to start at the beginning. So the idea of developing pilots around processes or products or even new business models. And a lot of conversation around new business models in circular economy circles. But if you're a large, complex organization, you are not going to change your business model unless there is a significant opportunity or threat. So a lot of the conversation is going to be around how you re-engineer your existing processes. It's going to be the smaller, innovative companies that maybe open up these disruptive opportunities. We're seeing companies like Philips, for example, who have importantly re-engineered their 6 focal areas of eco-design now to bring in circularity, and they're starting to develop a more systemic approach to how they tackle the issues, from thinking about servicing and maintenance through refurbishment to parts harvesting to materials recycling, so at different levels. But even within this, Philips may be using the word refurbishment, but in certain networks I'm involved in, others might term this remanufacturing. So no common discussion. Others, like HP, developing similar models, and we may hear about that from another speaker. A really key important point that I'm recognizing from a book I'm preparing now on designing for a circular economy is that circular economy is not about end of life. It's about the use phase in the life cycle. It's about developing multiple lives and designing for durability. So that's the focus, not the end of life. Materials recycling should be way down the line. What we're also seeing is a number of entrepreneurs really engaging in the conversations. We've got iFixit from the US, who developed high-quality tutorials to show you how to fix and repair your product. It shows you how to diagnose, then fix, and then the business model is they sell the tools and the spares to fix your own product. This is also picking up on a new trend towards self-repair amongst some people. We also have Freytag bags. These are bags made from waste tarpaulins in the Museum of Modern Art as a modern-day design classic. Another entrepreneur picked up the idea of reusing fire hoses to produce bags. This is sold into Harrods. So creativity plus weight equals business. Creativity. So this is another ICT platform whereby Patagonia and eBay have developed a platform to encourage repair. We're also, and it links into some previous conversation, involved in a project called Circular Ocean. We're looking at the whole issues around the 640,000 tons of nets and ropes that are going to the sea each year. And you're seeing the dumping, you're seeing problems in ports and landfilling of many of these ropes. What we're starting to look at is, could you recalibrate to develop products? So that we've found active repair going on for some large-scale nets, reuse potential, logistics, even some chemical recycling processes to produce second life filament, and a range of other products, including carpet tiles. An example also of an entrepreneurial organization is Burio, Chile, US. They're basically producing skateboards out of waste nets, then moving into partnering on developing sunglasses, frisbees, surfing fins, and now producing components to go into chairs. But also they have a triple bottom line model where they're investing back in their communities. So the idea should be, how can we reutilize this resource in local eco-innovation systems to produce businesses and products, and not lose that value in the ports and fishing communities. We have, interestingly, the first stages of companies developing 3D printing technologies to use the filaments. And this is a company called Fishy Filaments in Cornwall, who've just crowdfunded for $200,000 to develop a new model for 3D printing. And maybe there's an opportunity for new labs to develop those products. And in closing, maybe we're also seeing a paradigm shift going on in this area where, at two levels. Bottom up, a new movement of what I'm terming makers, modifiers, and fixers, much more decentralized, that are able to potentially produce more low carbon and circular solutions. And within this, a number of trends that I don't have time to go into, but part of this is new places and spaces where people are coming together to develop products, including repair cafes. At one end of this, on the fixing end, nearly 1,400 of these in the world, 24 in Canada. I run one, haven't got a lot of time to go into this today, but we're generating a real impact here. And it's also not just about repair, it's also about community engagement. Essentially, people bringing broken products to get them repaired in community situations. And finishing, the other high-level conversation is around Industry 4.0, cyber-physical systems, this new enabling technologies, artificial intelligence, robotics, etc., to move production systems forward. We've got the first advent of those Industry 3.0 robots that are able to do this. This is the Apple Liam robot, which will disassemble your iPhone in 11 seconds. But the next level, Industry 4.0 robots, are going to be those robots that essentially will be able to recognize any product through sensors and databases and artificial intelligence within certain parameters. So in closing, a key part of this will be not just the products, and it will be about the development of the infrastructure, because there's one thing that's clear, is that circular economy is about systemic thinking. So thank you very much.